All right, next up, item 9B, a resolution of the City of Pearsall suspending the April 4th, 2024 effective date of AEP Texas Inc.'s request rate change to permit the city time to study the request and to establish reasonable rates, approving corporations with the city served by AEP, and authorize the intervention of AEP Texas Inc. Requested rate change proceedings before the commission, hiring Lloyd Gosling's attorneys and consultant services to negotiate with the company and direct any necessary litigation and appeal, requiring reimbursements of city's rate case expenses, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed is open to the public as required by law, requiring notice of this resolution to the company and legal counsel. City Council, this is an action item. I'm going to need a motion and a second. Motion by Councilwoman Talamontes, second. Second by Councilwoman R. Garza. At this point, I'm going to turn the floor over to our city manager, and we've got our AEP representative here.
For those of you guys that don't know, Jimmy Ernest, he's with AEP, he's the Governmental Relations Director for AEP. He's here to speak on, basically in a nutshell, Council, this is a rate increase that AEP is requesting. The AEP, and I'll let Jimmy speak to this, I don't want to steal his thunder, but they are making a rate increase request to the Public Utility Commission. It requires the cities either act on it or not act on it. So what we're proposing here is just to give Jimmy, I hope will give you some highlights of why the request is being made. And then we're asking authorization to, in this case, to hopefully have a little bit of a say as far as the dollar amount. But Jimmy will go over the average residential increase potentially that your ratepayers will be seeing here in Pearsall.
Council, this is Jimmy Ernest. Jimmy, welcome.
Thank you. Evening, Council. Good to be here. At the end of February, AEP Texas filed for a base rate case. We're required to do so by April 2024 for the settlement of the previous rate case. Couple items I wanted to mention to you. AEP Texas as a whole has seen 20 years of normal growth within the last 2 years. Think about that for a minute. 20 years worth of growth within the last 2 years. So we're still operating under the previous base rate case rates. And as all of you in here know, inflation's gone through the roof. Interest rates have gone through the roof. Everything is more expensive for us. Materials, supply chain issues, transformers. Transformers are a high commodity these days. They cost 3 to 5 times more than what they used to, and the time to get them, is still very slow, and has slowed some of our projects waiting for those materials. The base rate case gives us the opportunity to reset the rates that would reflect current costs, O&M, inflation, as I mentioned, labor costs, interest, and other expenses. What we're looking at is the average residential customer using about 1,000 kilowatt hours would see a $4.59 increase in their bill. But 82% of our customers, that would be in the Texas Central region, includes us, Pearsall, will only see a $2.11 increase because we have the TC3 rider is going to roll off December 24th. So that would reduce the amount of rates for our customers in the Central region. Basically, we're asking for a $163.5 million increase in rates. We're requesting a 10.6% return on equity and a 45% equity layer. That is up from 9.4 ROE and 42.5 on the equity layer that we have currently. Overall, the total rate increase that we are asking for would be approximately $9.3 billion. So, and again, that is all of AEP Texas. That's not local direct, and that's quite a few customers. We're asking that you deny the ordinance. And we're not an attorney, I'm not an attorney, I'm not giving you legal advice, but we ask that you deny it. The reason being is we would like to take this rate case before the PUC and apply those rates to all of our cities evenly, the same rates for everybody. So that's what we traditionally do, and that's what we'll do. You have the option to approve, deny, suspend, take no action. So that is what we're asking, and that's the information that I have to present to you. Packets with more detailed information were mailed directly to the city. They should have received that and shared that with you. And are there any questions that you'd like to ask?
No, but there would be comments to be made, so.
They're gonna think it's
Yeah.
us doing it, but it's not us doing any of the stuff. We're trying to, we always get,
Yeah, I understand. I mean, in the same boat as you, I'm a customer just like the rest of, so I totally understand. But, by the same token, you hear about your water facilities and the cost and how the expense has gone up for the equipment that you need. It's the same for us, to be able to maintain the poles, the lights, the lines, the tree trimming, do new projects. I mean, more and more of the cities around this area are seeing the data center projects. And those are expensive. We have to upgrade not only distribution lines and substations, but transmission level equipment, and that's not cheap. And the growth is only continuing to go. We have contracts signed with major vendors. For example, the Permian Basin, all the fracking and everything, they're converting to electrifying their equipment. No longer are they gonna be using diesel generators, stuff they want to electrify. So that is an opportunity for us, but at the same time, an expensive opportunity. You're gonna have to rebuild and build lines out to these locations, and then again, transmission lines, substations, everything has to be updated to provide that load. And I'm sure on all of y'all's mind is ERCOT. You see every winter, every summer, watch the grid, here we go again. Same thing, we've got to continue to improve our transmission lines and our distribution lines to sustain the load that, is here.
So what data is being considered to even put these costs on the table as far as in these rural communities, as far as the cost of living and things in these rural communities? No, I mean, are we taking that data to them and them know, well, if we can't compare it to the city of San Antonio, we can't compare it to
Right.
bigger cities
Well, and that, again, that goes back to why we try to apply the rates evenly, so everybody is affected the same. And instead of having, you wouldn't want a situation where you have cities cherry picking, and you know what happens. The biggest city always gets the best deal. And then the little cities, bear the brunt. And in many cases, that's true. And that's why we've always tried to apply the rates evenly across all our cities the same. So there's no, this person got this person got that. Everybody's the same.
So it is interesting, and not to drag this out too long, but I was curious as why we see this, because we don't produce, we don't provide the electricity, but it is, by the municipalities, required to participate since so many citizens live in incorporated areas throughout the area. So my understanding is that the desire is from AEP for us to deny this and kick it to PUC. That's it, right?
I think that, and we probably have to chime, our city attorney would have to chime in.
Right.
We, in saying that, in essence, would we be saying that this would go to the PUC on April 4th with the city is not contesting the rate increase. So if we deny this ordinance, that's in effect what we're saying. Now, this does reference that we're suspending, the April 4th effective date to AEP Inc.'s requested rate change to permit the city time to study the request and establish reasonable rates. So again, I think this is asking for suspension. So I think on that end, part of that from the council's perspective is looking at it to where you can agree or disagree with Jimmy or the AEP's position to not approve this ordinance, approve or not approve this ordinance. But ultimately, you like the council have to look out for your citizens. And the city attorney, again, may want to mention a couple of things, but I think that's, hopefully I explained it correctly. fair, Bob, what we're saying?
Yes.
So I think in saying that, that's something that, again, the council, we won't meet again until April, unless y'all wanna have a special meeting, to make this decision. But it is something to consider. Part of what you, again, and I think Jimmy has done a good job of trying to explain the capital expenses that AEP is having to see or is seeing and investing in. I think part of the discussions were some of the questions maybe come up is what areas geographically are seeing these capital improvements? Is it, are we seeing it here in, say, Pearsall or in the surrounding areas, or is it just primarily from the basin? So I think whenever you start talking about investments, it's something that as a council, I would recommend that y'all, again, kind of have those questions in mind, and maybe Jimmy can help answer that, where those investments are, and, you know, if the investments are being made, is it in our area, I guess is basically, I don't know if that's fair to ask.
Well, and the quick answer on that, the investment's gonna affect all cities if we're continuing to improve transmission lines, because transmission lines run throughout all the territories. If we continue to build substation, you go through Divine right now, the existing substation that's there by the Walmart is getting an expansion right now. You know, Pearsall, many of our cities, Eagle Pass, Uvalde, a lot of areas that I cover, you know, we're seeing that growth not only in the cities, but the businesses that are going around them. Data centers are always on the lookout for property. There's property all around Pearsall. You know, I know that we've talked about getting with our economic development team to see what we can do to help Pearsall sell itself, to advertise what's available to it. But at the end of the day, the same problem would happen if we don't have the capacity to bring in those new businesses or industries, then it's a moot point. And that's what we're trying to do is, you know, bring in additional capacity. Even if it's just a transmission line, that's important because the next step would be upgrading a substation in the city that a business was interested in, you know, moving to. We've had to turn away, you mentioned data centers, we've had to turn some away because transmission line projects can take 2 to 10 years, depending on how many miles of transmission line, how many structures. And again, supply chain issues come into effect with that because getting those steel poles to set, those aren't always readily available. And again, the expense on those have gone up. So if we can, you know, have that and continue to improve the reliability of the transmission lines and improve the capacity at substations, then that benefits all cities in that they have the capacity available to bring in new business. And then that also goes back to the grid, you know, being able to have that additional capacity.
And council, y'all know this, but AEP is only transmission, that they're just.
And distribution.
And transmission of the line, they don't make the electricity,
They
and
do.
so
They
it's,
don't make the electricity, right?
No.
They don't have power.
Deregulation, 2002.
So-
We had to break up generation, distribution, transmission, and retail.
so
That's
you-
why you have a choice of a retail provider. That's not us. That's a separate company altogether. Other companies generate power throughout Texas and go into the grid, which is controlled by ERCOT.
So if you look at your bill, you'll see the
Yeah.
fee assessed on the set.
Yeah, because there's a line item where it says AEP surcharge.
Right.
Yes.
And depending on retail provider, some say
Exactly.
AP, some may say TDSP, but it's a separate charge. So you're paying the retail provider first, however much you agreed upon per kilowatt hour for your usage, and then you're paying us to deliver that electricity to you.
So it's interesting, as you heard the first thing he said, what you did 20 years of expansion in the last 2 years. Texas is booming, we're growing, there's demand. I know we've had conversations with TxDOT about, you know, just getting ready for the surge that continues to come. And, you know, folks, we're all, you know, we all enjoy this electricity and it comes with a price. And that, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're operating under 2018 price structure?
Yes.
So, you know, whatever that is, 2 to 6 years ago, you can imagine what a transformer cost then to now. So that price increase is coming, but the whole request here is you're gonna kick the ball into the arena where it's spread over a larger group. So your motion to approve this will suspend this effective rate and let them kick it back to a broader base, and hopefully spread this over the whole state of Texas.
And what is that gonna do for us if we were to kick it, if every city would kick it back?
Well, in theory,
I mean,
this is-
at what point did,
What we're saying here is we're contesting their rate increase. We're contesting, we have issue with the rate increase, is what we're saying. And what we're asking for is suspension with the idea of negotiating on the city's behalf a rate. And there may not be any negotiations, they may just say, this is what it is, and they may win their appeal. They may very well, on that end though, is if we do not do anything, then we're in essence saying this is.
And Jimmy, is it fair to, I'm sorry,
Go ahead, that's it.
is it fair to say that it won't get any higher than this, but we've got a chance that it could get lower?
Yes.
So it benefits us to approve the suspension and see if we can negotiate a lower rate. And if not, then our rates are set. Again, average about $5 a
and do
month.
you know if cities are gonna be able to request some sort of, information or data that says where is these investments gonna head to? Are they gonna be heading up north, or are they gonna be more up to south areas, or more detail from them?
Let me see if I can get some information from our economic development to kind of pinpoint some of the projects that are current and see if I can share, because again, a lot of those have confidentiality agreements and stuff, so I may not be able to share all future, but I know some of the ones that we've made public, that have contracts already signed that are in motion.
Cause it's like Mayor says, I mean, yes, Texas is growing, but
Yeah.
it's up north that's growing. We're talking about economic development down in the rural communities, and that's where we need the help, so why try to nail these rural communities when it's not us that's growing
Right.
as rapidly as.
No, I understand. And what I've seen mostly in this area, I know that we still have, subdivisions going up in many of the towns. So that's one, and that's our traditional growth is residential. But this 20 years of growth in the 2-year period has not only been residential, but more industrial and commercial. And, I say a data center, you don't think that much, but these data centers consume, in most cases, in this area, more electricity than the whole city.
Amazing.
That's your growth. I mean, that is, that they're buying electricity, whether they're contributing to the economy with lots of employees, that's a different story. But they are consuming electricity, they're buying electricity, they're buying property, they have a building, they're part of the city. Between Weigel and, the Vine, there is a piece of, an area where one is waiting to be developed, again, same issue. Transmission, substation have to be approved for them to move in. There was one that wanted to move behind the Walmart in Divine. We have some in Dimmitt County, they're all around, but they're gonna be more located next to a substation because of the power they draw and because of the type of service they have to have. They're usually connected to a transmission level service. So you may not see them, and it's probably better that they are out and away from the city because you have a lot of fans blowing on those things, keeping all the computers and servers and everything cool. So, but anyway, you just can't write off, if you don't see a strip mall or a mall or, more restaurants, that doesn't mean you'll have growth. If you have a data center in your area, that's some sort of growth because they are consuming and paying for commodity.
All right, council, you have any other questions?
Does the motion have to be amended?
I'm sorry?
Does the motion have to be amended?
No, as it's read, voted, motion second, it is to suspend it.
Okay.
All right, so at this point, if there's no other questions, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank
We'll
you.
be in touch with you, economic development. Yeah, all right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening.
We appreciate Jimmy. All right, item 9C, as I said, is gonna be a consent item, up and down vote. We've got one depository that has made the bid. So item 9C, discuss and consider the authorizing the solicitation of a request for proposal for depository services for the city of Pearsall. Council, may I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Leal, second by Councilman Trevino. Any other questions? Calling for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item, 9D, discuss and consider authorizing the city manager to enter into a sole source agreement with Reviz for the implementation and maintenance of a new website. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Leal, second by Councilwoman Talamontes. With that, I'm going to allow Ms. Ramirez to take the floor.
Good evening, council, mayor, and our city manager. So we've been listening to your concerns, and we're really excited to be hopefully launching a new website for the city. We've looked into a couple of different cities that are using Revise